Today I'm going to do a little foraging around the farm. I've got a lot of passion flower vine growing wildly around in various places of the farm, so I'm going to go around and collect some of the passion flower and the vine leaf. It's a very beautiful flower and it smells beautiful too. You can use it in a tincture with alcohol, or you can dry it. Just air dry it, and then I'll show you that. I intend to air dry it and use it as a tea. Passion flower typically can be used as a calming agent. It works a lot like melatonin to help calm and not necessarily induce sleep, but calm the body for sleep and reduce anxiety. So I kind of have a little bit of each. So I'm going to try and see if I can make some tea out of it and see how it works. So come along while we collect some of these beautiful flowers. All right, this is the passion flower vine, and it works a lot like a cucumber does, where it sends out a tendril, and the tendrils attach themselves to various plants that are nearby, and it's grows very profusely. So if you do plant this plant, just be mindful that it will take over. But this is the passion flower. Isn't it beautiful? I wish you could smell it. It has a very fruity, flowery scent. So I'm going to collect some of these petals, and I'm going to also collect some of the leaves. Some of the flowers haven't opened up yet, but I'm still going to get them. And then I'll show you where I'm drying them. It's very beautiful. Find it along, if you don't have any growing where you are, you might find it along a highway if you know what to look for. It also will develop what's called a maypop. It makes a little pod, which none of these have that yet, but it does make a little pod. There's another one growing. It's kind of everywhere right here. So there's another place on the farm that we're going to go and get some more. So let's go. We're now up on the power line. That's Whitetail Ridge, the only really ridge on the farm. And there's all this passion flower vine right here. And so I'm gonna get some of these flowers, add them to our collection. They're just beautiful. They are really a beautiful flower. See it up close. Just a very detailed flower. It almost has a gardenia smell and almost a gardenia type leaf. So that's really what it smells like. Much like a gardenia. Ah, here are the maypops. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this off so you can see it. All right, it forms these little pods, and they are edible. They'll get a lot bigger. My husband said when they were little, they used to pop them, stomp them, and pop them. They're called maypops. This is the end of August, and they're usually a lot bigger than that by now. Next year, this one's got maypops on it, growing on it too. I think next year I will create a trellis and have it go up over, you know, an archway trellis. But it's just, that's the way it looks. It just grows and, and just continues to grow and connect itself to whatever plant is nearby. So it would grow up a trellis very easily. It's just beautiful. probably be enough. Ooh, bee. It's growing right near pokeweed. I know a lot of people can use this carefully too. I'm not into pokeweed, so I'm just working on passion flower this year. I've never foraged for passion flower before, so this year I am going to do that. I have goldenrod, and we're going to forage for some more goldenrod today. So there we go, lots of passion flower. So that ought to be good to dry and have some tea with, calming tea before bed. All right, so let's move on down and finish up with some goldenrod. There's one more vine growing over here of passion flower. Now you can buy seeds for it, but if you can find some growing wild, then just plant it, transplant it. It's a very beautiful flower. It's very beautiful out here in the landscape. We're out here along the power line at the farm, right at the edge of Wade's Way. And there's a lot more. That's all I'm gonna get, but there is a lot more down here. I'll show you. Conditions are perfect on this farm. We are in northeastern North Carolina, and you can see that there is a lot of passion flower down through here. It just kind of weaves itself into the greenery, and these beautiful, fragrant purple flowers are blooming everywhere. If you come across the path, then we have some more growing on this side. Oh, there's a big maypop. That's about what they get, just about that big. We'll harvest that one. Let's see what we can do about eating it. But even way back in here, you can see lots of purple passion flowers. They're just beautiful, just so beautiful. We've come down a little bit from Whitetail Ridge down to this Pye weed that is growing wild. We have a batch of it here, a batch over in that corner where it's just self-seeding itself and growing wild on our farm. It's a wonderful pollinator. It's a beautiful flower. The medicinal purposes for the Pye weed, all parts are edible. Leaves, flowers, even the roots, if I were to dig it up. I'm gonna dry it. It's used in all sorts of kidney health, UTI health, lower fevers, a natural diuretic if you're feeling a little bloated, sort of those types of things. So I'm going to harvest a little bit of the Pye weed and dry that. So I'll have the passion flower and the Pye weed. And it has a bit of a vanilla scent to it. This smells good. It's not as fragrant as passion flower, but it does smell good. We're going to collect just a little bit of this Pye weed. I'm not going to dig it up. I don't think I want any roots, but I'm just going to work on drying the flowers and the leaves and add a little bit of that to my tea. There's a lot of it. It's pretty. The other batch of Pye weed is covered in caterpillars, so this one is covered in bees. All right, on to the goldenrod. The last wildflower on our list of foraging today is goldenrod. And goldenrod's properties are anti-inflammatory. So I have a little bit of arthritis in my thumb, and so this tea I found to be somewhat helpful. So I dry the leaves and the flowers and, brew them in a tea. And I have used this in the past, and I just need to update my supply. So I'm going to get a little bit of this. I'm just going to shake it a little bit, make sure if there's any spiders or whatnots, they'll fall before I get them back to the house. But this goldenrod is just getting ready to blossom all over this farm. It is very abundant. It is invasive. I wouldn't suggest planting it, but if you see a roadside, along the roadside somewhere, you'll see it growing along in fields, around fields. It's very prolific here. It's just multiplying, and it will take over. It's much like brambles. It's not something you want a lot of because it will choke out all the other forbs, you know, the other wildflowers. So we're going to, that's probably a fair amount, just to dry and replenish my stock. I did not get any last year, so my stock is about, you know, it's over a year old. So it's time for some new, a little more potent, which that will be plenty. So there's goldenrod, and that will end our foraging. Excuse me, it's not ragweed, which ragweed will do that to you, but goldenrod will not. But goldenrod finishes up our foraging for today. So we have passion flower, Pye Weed, and goldenrod. Okay, we're back with our goodies. We have a basket full of passion flower. And then we have some Pye Weed, not too much, and some goldenrod. So we're going to take all of these flowers and take them into the sunshine shed and get them drying up. I love to forage. Got a lot of passion flower. May pop. Save that. So I'm going to cut the flowers off the stems and lay them flat. Well, these are already off. Yep, gardenia. That's the smell of the passion flower. It is really strong in here versus in the fields. Smells very good. Doesn't take many flowers. There's a lot on that vine. All right, so we're going to take these and we're going to put them in here. I already had some from this morning. This is a nice little air drying net where, you know, no bugs can get in. So I'm going to flatten them out, the flowers, and lay them like that upside down so that they'll dry. It'll take a few weeks for them to get dry. They smell so good. I don't know that I've ever smelled passion flower isolated like this. Well, I know I haven't, as I've never foraged for it. I've just seen how beautiful it is, but it smells so good. It's just the most beautiful flower. I almost hate to pick it. Almost. I do want to try it though. I do have trouble sometimes falling asleep at night, so we'll see if it indeed works. I certainly wouldn't want to drink it in the morning. Pulled some of the larger leaves off, and I'm going to lay them in here to dry. A pretty leaf, kind of like, looks like a sassafras leaf. So start looking around and see if you can see these beautiful flowers growing along the edge of country roads. You're not going to see them in the city, obviously, but out in a more rural area, you probably will. All right, so I'm going to zip those up and let them dry. And on the lower level, I'm going to put the goldenrod and let it dry. And for the goldenrod, I am going to strip the leaves off. I don't want the stems. So I'm going to discard the stems and just keep the leaves and the flowers. And let those dry. Snip these flowers off. And I have tinctured. I've tinctured the rosemary before, but you know, when you tincture, it takes so much alcohol, and I'm not into buying all that vodka to do that, so I like air drying best because it's a lot cheaper. You'll probably see goldenrod a lot quicker than you'll see passion flower growing when you're riding along. So if it's in a place where it's safe to stop, get you a little bit and dry it. I'm sure you could dry it in the oven on a low setting if you needed to. This just works real well for me, so I don't have to mess with it but once. And then when it's ready, I'll put it in a, you know, a mason jar or a ball jar with a tight lid, and it will keep. I found that those ball jars are good for most everything. Crackers stay fresh for a long time. Fruits and vegetables in the refrigerator stay fresh for a long time in them. And this dried goldenrod will also stay fresh. Kind of just picking the best leaves, the biggest ones, because after it dries I'll crush the leaves and steep it in a tea, so it'll get small little pieces. So this tea requires a little bit of honey or sweetener to it. It tastes a little earthy, you know, tastes a little green. It's not bad, but it tastes a little green. You have to add a little bit of sweetening to it. And I have drank a lot of goldenrod tea. I like it. Definitely helps with inflammation, which I tend to have. I guess probably most people do. Grown-ups, not children. I would not give this to your children, obviously. Do your research. Definitely do your research. There are several nice foraging books, and I'll pop those in the video so you can see those that I use to research. And there's lots of websites that you can use to research and see if this is something that you would be interested in. If so, now's the time for goldenrod, and we're on the tail end of Pye Weed and passion flower, so you need to get to it if you want to try it. Now see, these got some bigger leaves, so that's a lot better. Clip those flowers off. They would make pretty dried flowers too. Both of these would. I don't know about the passion flower, but the goldenrod and the Pye Weed would make a nice dried flower in an arrangement. All right, these leaves are nice and large, so they're going to take a while to dry out. So we'll put them on this side. Normally I would label, you know, what's in here, because after a few months you kind of forget if you've got too many different types of flowers in here. But with just these three, I will remember. So, Pye Weed, Goldenrod, and passion flower for today. Just growing wild on the farm. One of God's pleasures. If you like to be outside, start looking around, because there's lots of fun things to see and enjoy. And it's all natural. I'm going to sit that up. And that's today's harvest, which is a good one.